right around the turn of the century, they started noticing that there was a lot of degradation in the forest. Forests were getting eaten. Forests were getting chewed up, and they couldn't figure out why. They needed to find the culprit. So they started to do some research. And the forestry department was big in this because, you know, they were chewing up their forests. So they looked around and found out that it was one critter that was doing most of the damage. Do you know what that was? Porcupines. Porcupines were ripping up the woods. Porcupines eat the new growth. Porcupines will girdle a tree. They'll chew all the bark off of it. Porcupines can be very destructive in a forest, but that's what they do. They're porcupines. But why? Why all of a sudden were these porcupines doing so much damage? Well, it was because there were so many of them. The porcupine population had just gone out of control. And they're going, why is this? Why are we seeing all these porcupines? Well, it turns out there's one animal that will actively pursue and eat porcupines. That's not to say that other animals won't. Lynx will, bobcats will, even some of the coyotes and stuff will. They'll grab things, they'll eat them. But they won't go after them per se. They know they're very difficult to catch and eat. But one animal does. One animal loves porcupines. Any idea what that one is? The fisher. Fishers will actively pursue and eat porcupines. And the way they do so, because you're going, well, there's quills all over them, how do they get to them? Two things they've seen them do. They've seen them work them all the way up to the top of a tree and shake the tree until they fall out of the tree. That's a little more work than they really want to do. But if they find them on the ground, what they will do is, and does your porcupine do the little spin thing? Okay, that spinning that porcupines do, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get their quills facing in your direction. Because they don't have quills on the face, they don't have quills on the belly. So those are the vulnerable areas. And porcupines will go up and stick their hands around a tree, put their face on it so that nothing can get to them. That's one way they defend themselves. But they're out in the middle of an area, they're going to spin around. Well, fishers are real adept predators. And they will just circle that porcupine until they can reach in there, grab them by the head, and crush their skull. Which sounds disgusting, but a very effective way to kill a porcupine. And then they eat them. So what they found was, in these areas where the porcupine population had gone crazy, there were no fishers. Fishers had been all but trapped out in the lower 48. So there were no fishers. What the Forestry Service did was they started raising fishers, and they introduced them to these areas. And they found out that the porcupine population in these areas came down by 55% in 2 years. So that shows you just how important one animal can be in an ecosystem. Atta girl! Okay. This is sometimes known as a fisher cat. They are not a cat, they're a mustelid. They're related to the skunks. Weasels, mink, otters, those things, badgers. But these are really the perfect predator. They are amazing to watch. If you ever, don't chew my ears up, if you ever get a chance to watch a fisher in the woods, you should spend the time. They don't miss a trick. So, they are opportunistic. This, of course, unfortunately means that they will eat your cat. I don't know if I can show you her feet here. Come here, let me see your feet. See the feet on her? They look like they're way too big for her. And there's a couple reasons for this. One, she needs those big claws to grab things and to climb trees. And two, we find this with pine martens too. Pine martens actually have a larger foot for the size of their body than a fisher does. The reason for that is they tend to be living in higher elevations where there's more snowpack. And these are snowshoes for them. So they're going to use these snowshoes to get where they want. They are very adept swimmers. She is a very good swimmer. She can climb trees. She can chew ears. She is really something. And right now, again, she's in her winter coat, so she looks really nice. But this is one of the reasons that the populations went down. They would use the fur. She's small because she's a female. The males can get up to 30 pounds. She's about 10 pounds. So, they do. And especially during the early winter, they tend to pack on a lot of pounds. And if you see one that's much larger, it's a male. So, yeah, yes, exactly. She's starting to lose her winter coat now, but it will take her a little while. And you notice the chewing on her. Look at the teeth. And they have extremely powerful jaws. They are cousins to wolverines. Wolverines can crush a moose's skull with their jaws. That's powerful. That is incredible. And a lot of this, if we were to look at the muscle structure in the head, we'd see this ability to bite down really hard, which means that they can kill larger animals than themselves. They have been known to kill young deer. So they can, but they generally don't.